now we'll move on to the expected utility problem. Mauricio, if you'll read the first expected utility problem here.
Construct a utility scale for your company that is coherent and reflects loss aversion.
Okay, so now we want a utility scale that reflects loss aversion. Okay, now I've ordered the payoffs in terms of the company's most preferred to the company's least preferred, and the company's ordering is coherent. They don't prefer one to another, and not all the measures of coherence are in place here. They prefer the $500,000 payoff. Next, they prefer the $50,000 payoff. Next, they prefer breaking even. And lastly, they prefer losing $250,000. But now we want a utility scale that represents cost aversion. That they really don't want to lose any money on this particular scale. That was one, right?
Calculate the expected utility.
Well, is it cost aversion? Is this one that we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, cost aversion. Okay. So first of all, for a utility scale, they assign a utility value of 1 to their most preferred item and a utility value of 0 to their least preferred item, just by definition of the von Neumann-Morgenstern utility scale. Now they've got to assign a value to these intermediate outcomes that reflects how much they prefer these intermediate outcomes based on the risk they would be willing to take to get that intermediate outcome, the risk of getting that intermediate outcome with certainty, or getting in a lottery that gave them some chance of getting their most preferred item, and one minus that chance of getting their least preferred item. And to reflect cost aversion, this is one of any number of utility scales you could have constructed, but notice that a utility scale like this reflects cost aversion because the utility value they assign to breaking even is scrunched up closer to the utility value they ascribe to their most preferred item, similarly with this one. And it's farther away from the utility value they ascribe to the losing $250,000. That is, in other words, they're saying, man, before we would give up that outcome with certainty on a chance at that or that, we'd need at least an 8 out of 10 chance of getting that, and only a 2 out of 10 chance of getting that. If there was a greater chance of getting that, we'd get in the lottery. But if there was a lesser than 0.8 chance, we'd go ahead and take that with certainty. That's how much we want to avoid that particular outcome. And similarly for this one. And notice that this utility scale is coherent. It matches their preference orderings. And so now we can calculate the expected utility of the three actions. Drilling alone. Well, that's going to be the probability that the field is a producer, 0.35, times the utility of their most preferred outcome, 1, plus the probability that the field is not a producer, 0.65, times the utility of it not being a producer. Well, that will be their least preferred outcome, 0. And so we get an answer here, a utility value of 0.35. The utility value of drilling and farming out against this utility scale will be 0.35, that's the probability that the field is a producer, times 0.9, that's the utility value they attach to the outcome of plus 50,000, plus 0.65 times the utility value of 0.8, that's the utility value they attach to breaking even. And so if we do this math, what does that wind up being right there, Mauricio? Do you have my math there?
This drilling and farming out is 0.315.
0.315, right?
Plus 0.52.
0.52. And that sums to 0.835. And so that will be the utility value of their scale of choosing to drill but farming out. Now notice one more thing. On this scale, the utility value of declining to drill is going to equal the payoff, 1, so 0.35 times 0.8 plus 0.65 times 0.8, which is going to equal 0.8. And against this utility scale, the company will decide to drill and farm out the drilling. But notice that the company's second preferred option, given their cost aversion, is going to decline to drill. They're so worried about losing $250,000 for whatever reason that they're not even willing to take a risk at getting the $500,000 because they're so much more concerned about not losing any money on this particular deal for whatever reason, and that's reflected in these utility calculations based on this utility scale.